Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I got a really special video here for you guys today on the Napco, my 1972 GMC K5500. I'm sure you guys have seen here on the channel before. I did a video on this thing initially a little over a year ago, and it went viral. It's my most viewed video still to this day, and that video, thanks to that video, these pictures and a bunch of stories and information found their way to me, and I actually tracked down the long lost second truck. Its twin sister had since new. So these pictures are super cool. I'm excited to share this with you guys and tell these stories. Been meaning to for a while. I actually injured my hand, and so I've got a bunch of idle time. I'm kind of on light duty here at the shop this week. So one of the things I wanted to really get done was that Napco video, and well, here we are. We're doing it. So let's get into it. I was struggling with how I was going to share this with you guys. I was going to do a voiceover, kind of a slideshow, you know, just a PowerPoint, like, you know, I do sometimes in the videos, but it just didn't seem right. It seemed like it was gonna be too boring. I felt like I should tell these show and tell style. There's a bunch of things I wanted to point at in the pictures. So I went down to print out a bunch of these pictures today, so we can kind of go over these, and I can keep this, I think, more interesting and keep you guys hooked. So this, of course, is, well, how I found the truck, I knew the truck. It sat like this for, well, a long time on Old Highway 7. He never really wanted to sell a truck. He just liked fire trucks is why he had it. He wasn't a 67, 72, you know, fan per se. He just liked fire trucks, and it was a cool fire truck. Initially, of course, it was a fire truck. We'll get more into that here in a bit. But here it sat all dilapidated. I knew it was something special beyond just a fire truck. I knew, you know, he said it was a factory diesel, you know, and I just was always after this truck. I was always after it. I finally got a chance to bring it home, and I actually bought it from his sister. He sadly passed away. Willed to his sister. I was able to buy the truck. I kind of tell more about the story in the first video, so you guys can go and hear that there. So this is how I found it, and I brought it home and got it running and got it cleaned up, and this was shortly kind of after that, and kind of made a truck out of it. Started driving the thing around and whatnot, and with some of these early pictures when I first got the thing, I posted them on some fire apparatus pages on Facebook, and kind of seeking maybe information. He knew that it had come from California, and it was a fire truck originally down there. He knew that much about it, and besides that, not much. So I posted on these fire apparatus pages, maybe hoping somebody knew of the trucks. Well, someone did, and a few people actually kind of chimed in and said, hey, remember those trucks when I was a kid? They were at Aptos Fire Department since new. So here I just bought this thing, and I kind of knew all those, like 10 years I was trying to buy it, that it was probably a fire truck down in California. I bring it home, and I find out that is likely true. The guy recognized it. He's like, that's got to be truck 3520 or 3521. Well, sure as shit, there's a big 3520 on the roof of my truck. Well, that checks out. And the guy didn't really have any other pictures. He just had some stories. He remembered when he was a kid that he saw those trucks running around town, and they were just really cool. There's like big monster trucks, and I already called them the twins, and there was two of them, is what he said. He goes, there's two trucks. Then another guy chimed in, and he actually worked, who recognized the truck, at the Howe fire apparatus plant that actually built the trucks in Martinez, California, or I should say converted them to fire apparatus in Martinez, California. Of course, trucks were built by GM and then converted to four-wheel drive and other modifications done by Napco. And then we find eventually went to Howe for fire apparatus, which we'll get into here in a bit. So he says, hey, man, those trucks were special order. There were only two like that. He goes, I remember those trucks. They were very special, and they were ahead of their time, is what he was saying, too. He goes, those were some of the first trucks we built like that. Then it ended up being about all we built for years to come. It was a very popular style of truck, you know, kind of in years after these. So it's kind of like a brush truck, you know, it's kind of like a short wheelbase, big four-wheel drive, big tire, built for getting around in terrain and whatnot. And this was a new and fresh idea at the time. Today, you know, a lot of wildfire firefighter trucks are like this. This is something commonly, you know, a guy would see today. But in 72, this is very unusual. Most all fire trucks were longer wheelbase and two-wheel drive, and so they definitely were unique for special order like that, with the short wheelbase and the double frame. It has two frames. It's got a sleeve over the middle of the frame, factory, as well as the diesel and the Allison. So I knew it was always something special. With some more information, some more digging, and some more research into Napco, the conversion and whatnot, I knew that this truck was, these trucks, I should say, were two of a kind. Shortly after hearing from these two gentlemen that, you know, hey, this truck was this, they didn't have any pictures, they just had stories, but everything kind of seemed to be, you know, everything kind of seemed to check out to what I had already heard about the truck, the area of California it was from. And shortly after that, this one lone photo surfaced on a fire apparatus page. And that one guy, he grabbed the photo and sent it to me and said, hey man, I think this is your truck. And he goes, it's 3520. And he was right. And here it is. So this was the only photo I had. But you can see in there in the photo, look at that. What's that right there? And what's that right there? You can tell it's 6772, but it almost looks smaller, which we'll get into here towards the end of the video. So, I mean, this was the proof. This was it. This is my truck. My truck has 3520 still on the roof. There's lots of stuff inside. You know, the tags are things that, you know, kind of line up. There's 3520 inside as well, too. And I still had one of these original tires like this that came in the back of the truck. And it was my truck. Now the bed is a bit different, which we'll get into too as well. This picture is not flipped, as you'll see. The GMC is the correct orientation. My bed, of course, is full, as we see over there. So there's still mysteries. We figured out a lot of this. There's still some mysteries, but one thing to take note of right there is wheel chock. See that? It's wheel chock. So this thing doesn't have park. There's no park in the transmission. It has a crude parking brake setup that really doesn't work. There's a drum off the back of the transfer case, and it doesn't hold the truck. And we see a wheel chock there. Well, we're going to select the wheel chocks in this video, and the transmission with no park plays a big part into these two trucks' history. So I had this one photo. I was really happy I had this. I thought this maybe might be all I ever have of it. But I used this photo too and kind of sent it around looking for more information from anybody that possibly knew anything without much luck. It wasn't until I made the YouTube video where I got somewhere and got some more pictures, information, and stories to surface. So thanks to Mr. Drew Johnston, who was a member of the Aptos Fire Department at a young age, and he was there when this truck showed up brand new. So here she is. This is it. This is my truck. They had just gotten it from GM and Napco. We'll see here, and it was red, and it still is red. There's chunks you can see on my truck in pictures and whatnot, and in person you can certainly see where the yellow is flaked away and showing the red underneath. The Howe Fire Department painted the truck yellow. It was red from the factory, so it was red for a short little bit and got sent to conversion after this and then got painted. So I think it's kind of cool because the fire department actually had the truck here for a bit, and Drew was telling me they were playing around with it. They were, you know, testing the four-wheel drive and driving the thing around, and he said it shipped out by locomotive and had these big old concrete blocks we see here on the back of the truck. They sent in shipping just because the springs were so stiff and to kind of simulate bed weight, basically. But yeah, this is it. This is my truck. And so, you know, of course, I saw these pictures that Drew sent me, and I just about crapped my pants. You know, he saw the YouTube video I posted, as well as a few other of the firefighters originally, you know, and crew members at the fire department. They saw it, and it's just kind of cool the way the World Wide Web works, and it got this video out to them, and they got to see that this old truck still exists up here in Washington. And they had their concerns, and they knew it came somewhere up here to the Pacific Northwest. They didn't know quite where. I'll get into here in the video. He said they were super great engines. They liked them a lot. They just got around good. The maneuverability was great. The pump, you know, output, and just they were great all arounder. And he really liked these trucks. And so I got to speak with him on the phone for a good while, a while back, and it was just fun to kind of chat it up and just Tim tell me a few stories about the trucks. And I'll get in to share some of that here in a bit. Here's another photo of it, how it came. Basically when it shipped. It's pretty cool. Look at that thing. It had stacks factory. Stacks from the factory. You can't really see it in these pictures here. It's kind of blending in with the tree in the background, but yeah, she had stacks on her. Pretty darn cool. And it looks like it already had the winch put on it. So I don't know if Napco did that. Not factory certainly, but it appears that quite possibly Napco outfitted it with the winch. And we have some off-road lights below the bumper there. So yeah, pretty cool. The wheels were white there in those two pictures, unpainted still. Again, I still have one of these original tires with that tread pattern, and yeah, pretty darn cool. This kind of really all brought all together. You have so many questions, like I wonder what it looked like. I wonder what it was like. Well, this is cool. I got these pictures. I got to see what it looked like when it was new, and it was all true. There was 2 trucks. So this was the other truck. So this is truck 3521. It was factory yellow. Seems kind of strange to me. One was ordered red, one was ordered yellow. Maybe they were going to decide if they're going to do them yellow or red. I'm not sure. Paint this one red or paint the other one yellow. But mine, of course, got painted yellow by the Howe fire apparatus conversion company. Did the work to it. So, and it's a little crude, honestly. There's a lot of areas that have flaked off and red's coming through. And I'd love for it to be red again. Maybe someday we'll get there. But for now, it'll be big, ugly, and yellow like it's been for the last, 50 years. So 3521 was born yellow, though. And we see it here next to another existing piece of Aptos Fire Department's fleet. One of the things I was most curious about, and I asked Drew, I just had to know, I asked him, I said, well, why did you guys pick it with a Toro Flow? It seems strange to me. It's such a rare and unusual engine, especially by 72. And it's one of the things that makes this truck, well, just so unusual. It all kind of stacks up, and that Toro Flow plays a part. And he's like, oh, the engine? He goes, yeah, no, we just ordered whatever they had as the most powerful diesel because the rest of our fleet was diesel and just made it easy for filling them up. I was like, oh. And I kind of like, well, I guess, duh. Here I thought there was some kind of personal preference. Maybe the mechanic liked them, or, they had maybe more, older Toro Flows in their fleet. And it just seems strange to order these 2 trucks. Special order. I mean, these trucks were not cheap. These trucks were very expensive and special ordered. Made a point of ordering that way with that diesel engine in it. And just very uncommon and to see one, let alone, one with the rest of this and the history, just very strange. And so I kind of almost overthought the whole entire time. He was like, no, we just bought it with a diesel because we had diesel pumps, on site, and most of the rest of our big fleet was diesel, so it just made it easier. And I don't know, I just kind of felt silly after hearing that, but he did go on to say after that a lot of the way the truck exists and the way they were ordered was thanks to their new fire chief. So get into this picture here. And that is this gentleman here, I believe. And he'd come up from a lot of experience from further south down in California and had moved up to the area. And he had the idea behind these trucks. And he was kind of the originator behind this short, wheelbase kind of brush truck. You could see the gentleman's a little older there than the rest of the guys around him. And, he knew a lot of stuff. And Drew spoke very fondly of him and his leadership. And he just said that, these 2 trucks, spawned from him. And it was his idea to order these, short wheelbase, flotation tire, basically heavy duty all-in-one trucks to fight fires due to, challenging terrains, more houses along the beach was one of the certain concerns. And, just what he felt they needed in that area there of California. So thanks to him, because these trucks wouldn't exist without him. I do believe, I didn't get from Drew, but I believe Drew's the tall gentleman there. He said he was just, I think he said he was just 21, 22 years old when he joined the department here and during his time. So he was 21 years old, 22, around in 1972. So pretty cool, and this picture is just too cool. So we got multiple members of the garage, I believe Drew said here, as well as him and the chief. And we see some, looks like some mechanics, and just cool. And what a cool truck. I mean, I feel pretty special to own this truck. I always knew this truck was something special. I always knew it had a history long before me. I knew it had a long history long before Washington, not just from Northern California, but I knew this truck meant something to people. And it did to Drew and his crewmates. And it was just something very cool, and fresh and new and exciting to them as firefighters and to local people. I mean, the other guy who first spotted the truck when I was trying to look for information, he's like, yo, that is truck 3520, man. He just, you know, wrote a paragraph. It was like, I always wondered whatever happened to that truck. You know, that one went away. And he actually chimed in to say that he later worked at a fire department in the 1980s that actually got my truck. So he was a kid, you know, running around in California, and here's these trucks driving around. And he said he was just mesmerized. Thought they were the coolest thing is just big old giant yellow monster trucks. Because, I mean, these are the days before Bigfoot and USA 1 were even a thing. I mean, you look at these things, they're huge, you know. It's just it's like a pickup, but it was just jacked up and, you know, on 40-inch plus tires and just, you know, still like a sore thumb. And so he even said that, you know, these are the coolest fire trucks he ever seen, you know, and probably one of the reasons why he wanted to become a firefighter, and he did. After the trucks here, you know, first got shipped, they played around for them a little bit, but then of course they sent them down to Howe in Martinez, California, down the way, and had the conversions done to convert them to full-on fire apparatus. So here we have one picture of truck 3521, the sister truck. So this kind of was the first picture I seen of it, you know, kind of full with all of its dress and all of its get up and on it in gear. So it's not quite brand new here. I believe it's several years old, and I believe this picture of mine is pretty fresh when the conversion had just been done. So I mean, they're very similar, but they weren't quite twins. They weren't identical twins, that's for sure. We see there that mine's got a traditional style, just like, you know, normal front bumper with a winch behind it, and then truck 3521 had this kind of custom, you know, big bumper with these toolboxes built in, and seemed to have that for most of its life, as well as we see some box differences. Now, this was what always kind of troubled me with the picture of mine, was like, well, why doesn't it have that box? I had that box on the other side, and the picture's not flipped. It just kind of always like, well, wait a second. But Drew did chime in to say that they initially had the truck converted, and they sent one, or he couldn't remember, possibly even both of them back to have more mods done by Howe and changes to the boxes done. So we see some differences in the boxes, you know, here, but it was kind of a thing of them figuring out what they liked. And I believe that mine, this one kind of got converted to the full boxes first, and then of course mine got it converted later. But mine never had the other side converted, and we'll kind of get into that here in the video. But yeah, we got some ladders up top, and then I've had this confirmed. This was kind of like a safety, like a stretcher, you know, for carrying people out of areas. We saw the hoses. We got some fire extinguishers here in the back, and then we see on truck 3521. It also had a winch behind that big bumper there, kind of tying itself back. Some cool old California license plates there. And one thing worth noting too is they both white grills. The grills are both white, and of course painted front bumper. Of course that is no longer existing on mine. But yeah, we see a difference there in the kind of battery boxes. This one didn't really have such. It looks like it has kind of a cover on top of the battery, while mine had a full battery box. And there's some differences between them. Definitely were, you know, quite similar, but the trucks were not exactly the same. We see some chunkier tires here on the front, on the steers, on truck 3521, and just kind of some more steer type tires on mine on the front. But yeah, super cool. Again, I do believe this is, there's another picture here that I believe is same day, just a different angle. I believe this is just this is looking the other way, just taking a picture from the back side of the truck. We'll see there's some scratches up top from stuff moving in and out, and you can kind of tell it's definitely been used. And we see again the cutaway, you know, the lower profile, just half box there in place here on truck, and this is truck 3521. We see it by the door. You can see the bigger bumper up front, but yeah, and this kind of shows, I was very curious to this too. So the pump was here at the back, and the transfer case has two outputs, one to the rear drive line, and it still is like this. It has an output above that that runs to a possible, well, is a PTO and runs back to a whatever it be. And on these trucks, of course, was a pump. So they, I believe, were, oh gosh, 500 gallon per minute and 750 gallon tanks, or it might have been 750 gallon per minute, 500 gallon tanks. So this picture here might be the absolute coolest one. This was their fire station. It was a house, or it was made to look like a house. Drew explained that, you know, they had 2 stations, and this was the new station they built, basically to house these 2 special trucks. I mean, how cool is that? And it was in a really nice area, and so they just actually built the station to look like a house. And so it didn't, you know, stand out. There's a lot of nice, you know, houses along the beach there in that area, and so they wanted to kind of fit in with their surroundings, and they built this station to look like a residential area, or residential, you know, domicile. And it's just cool. It seems, you know, unusual. How many other fire departments are like that? How many other fire departments have twin matching monster trucks, you know, out front? And so we'll see here. This, of course, is my truck 3520, and we got 3521 over here. And this actually is the only picture I have of the 2 together, showing them side by side. We see some differences up top. Looks like mine has some more stretcher, or, you know, kind of rescue stuff up top. And this, of course, has the full box, while mine does not at this point in time. We'll see they both have the full fender flares, and we'll see a wheel chock there present on my fender. And it looks like, actually here, I'm just noticing now, the 3521 doesn't have a winch on it yet, so it might have went back in. Again, I think this is pretty close to when the trucks were new. They look a little fresher in that picture. It might have went back in for some more mods and had a winch added. We see it there, of course, and it's not present in this picture. Mine always had it, and had it since new. We saw it in the pictures of there when it's fresh off the delivery from the train. It had the winch on it. So it seems kind of strange to me too. Like it's kind of cool that they kind of just checked a few little boxes different on the trucks. I mean, they weren't just like fully ordered, okay, we want 2 of this. We want these 2, but make this one that and make that one this. And they did some differences, different colors initially, which I thought was kind of interesting and strange. And then, you know, little differences here and there on them. We'll see that the lights and everything up top is pretty much the same on the 2 of them. And this dude's got some freaking cool space-looking firefighter outfits, some cool shiny jackets. He said that, you know, they had a blast at this house and run around these trucks, putting out fires all over the place. And he told a cool story of, you know, they got these trucks all outfitted and ready to go. And thought, you know what, we got to go and test these things and see how they do at the beach. And they took one down, and somebody was driving it and got in the beach and looped around, went this way, went that way. Then all of a sudden he got buried. And I mean, just barely took up to the diff. So they thought, oh, shoot, dang it. So they went and got the other truck and went down there. Then they got it buried, trying to get the other one out. So they had these 2 trucks stuck down at the beach. And in 1972, what was going to pull these things out, you know, stuck, buried up to their diff? So they had to call in the heaviest wrecker, and the wrecker got buried at the beach, and it got stuck. And so it was this like 3 or 4 day ordeal, you know, getting these trucks out. They had to dig them out by hand and, you know, use these. He was telling me all about it, and it was pretty funny. But he just, after that, the chief was like, okay, no more playing around with the trucks on the beach. And so pretty funny. This picture is probably my favorite of the whole bunch. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite. These are all so cool to me, but this just speaks of a time of yesterday. And again, the only picture of the 2 trucks together. I mean, how cool is that? So this picture is pretty rad. This picture of my truck, of course, we got 3520 there, and it's got its full conversion, you know, by the fire apparatus done by Hal, and it looks pretty fresh in this picture. So I think that this might be the same, because it appears to, this is at their other department, of course, not the house one. This is their normal fire department there in town, and I think that these pictures might be the same day, because they're both high quality photos. These 2 are. High resolution, and I think they had somebody come and actually like take these pictures, essentially kind of for them, and they're a little bit better quality. You know, when this one looks like it was somebody's camera, they might have just brought into work, you know, and snapped a picture real quick. All very cool, but it seems that these pictures were taken when this truck was kind of like maybe just got it back, and we're just getting ready to put it to work, and got some photos of it. And this one actually was, when I first initially got it, it was marked 1972, and so I mean that was, well, that's when it was new. So they used these 2 trucks quite a bit. They had at least about I'd say almost 10-year run with Aptos. Some of the exact information is kind of fuzzy. Drew didn't quite remember either. You know, a lot of things kind of came and gone. People went and came and gone, but he really remembered these trucks the most when they were, you know, new and fresh. and because it was just such an exciting thing, and the house station was new, and the trucks, they used them for probably about at least 10 years. And then my truck, 3520, again went on to a smaller fire department, Salsa Puedes, which I might be butchering that pronunciation, that had the truck for a number of years, which is where the initial gentleman who helped me kind of find some information on these and told me some information about these worked at. And they had it. And then after that, Salsa Puedes sold it in an auction, and it went up to Washington somewhere. And he knew that. He knew that about the truck, and told me that. Well, that checks out because, well, I live in Washington and I found the truck up here. So it had to get up here for some reason. Well, he told me that a fire department up here bought it from Salsa Puedes. Well, okay. I don't know which one at this time, but it kind of all checked out and made sense. And then he said the other one went on to some other fire department. He doesn't remember really where it went. Once I got in touch with Drew, though, he knew where 3521 initially went, and it went to Cambria Fire Department, which is also in the same kind of area. And he also knew that after that, that it got donated to the Santa Cruz Island. And so this was kind of all information to me. However, at the same time, literally the same timeline, when Drew was sharing with me all these pictures and whatnot, I had another guy who knew it from Cambria that knew it also went to Santa Cruz, who was commenting on their YouTube video. And he said, hey man, that thing's out there in Santa Cruz Island. I'm kind of getting this information from Drew as well as other guy at the same time. And I start doing some research. I pull up Santa Cruz Island, on Google, and I start learning about it. Well, it's way off the coast of California. It's a pretty good sized island. I'll put some kind of details across the bottom of the video here. And some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may have been there. And I had multiple leads now that truck 3521, the sister truck, quite possibly is out there in Santa Cruz Island. So now I'm excited. Like for the last 2 years, I've always wondered where the second truck was. I would just absolutely love to buy it, to have the pair, and to keep them both alive. Or just even to know where it's at, just to know that, it still exists, or that it's this or it's that. So now I'm getting close to finding the second truck, where it's at, and I'm looking up, on the maps on Santa Cruz Island, and, Google Earth, trying to zoom in and see if I see any yellow blobs out there on the island. And eventually I got in touch with a lady who does a lot of stuff with the island, and has been kind of its caretaker for many years, and she chimed me in and filled me in. And I found the second truck, but, well, it was lost again. This is truck 3521 after a terrible accident out there on Santa Cruz Island. So the truck was donated to the island after Cambria was done using the truck, is what I know. And we can see Cambria, kind of something fire department, Cambria Fire Department on the door there, truck 3521. There's our big bumpers, our winch, there's our, everything there kind of checks out. It certainly is the truck. And so I actually got this picture first, and then shortly after, Drew was sending these pictures. And so I kind of had to break the news to Drew, because they had, as far as they were concerned, this thing out there living its best life on the island and putting out little fires and as a search and rescue vehicle. But here I'm kind of doing a bunch of digging, and the popularity of this video is making other truths kind of come out and other stories. And I found out the truck was, wrecked and destroyed here. And so I'll get into the story of how this happened here in a second. But yeah, it was kind of a kick in the nuts, I was like, whoa, closure, because I'm a dork. This big old truck that I have means a lot to me, and I really wanted to find a second truck. Well, I found it. And so this picture here, I believe, is in 1998. So the truck was donated. It was on the island for a number of years, and they used it quite a bit. And it was just kind of a good little runaround vehicle. The four-wheel drive helped good. There was lots of steep terrain out there in the island. And a gentleman took the truck that day and got up on a ridge very high up, and that Achilles heel came back and was the truck's demise, that no park in the transmission. So he hopped out of the truck and went off to do whatever he was doing in that area, and the truck rolled away and fell down a giant ravine. and it was, well, as you guys see, wrecked beyond repair. I mean, the front axle's not even in the truck. I mean, I don't know if they cut it in half to pull it out of the ravine. We see the back half of the frame is missing. It's on some sort of little trailer. You know, they kind of drug it up. Supposedly had to drag it up with an old cat. We kind of see it looks like the leaf spring is still there. Lots of kind of rigging probably for pulling on it. I mean, it's in tough shape. And it's like, dang, you know, and this was quite some time ago. This didn't happen yesterday. Again, this is in the late 90s. So kind of there goes my dreams of finding this truck, you know, I mean, any condition, because Martha did tell me and kind of give me closure that it was scrapped after this, and the Navy came to the island and, you know, on a contract did a big old scrap run and hauled a bunch of scrap off. And so it sat there for a number of years, but was brought to scrap. So if any of you watching this video know where this is at, some scrapyard in Southern California, for some chance someone didn't melt this and turn it into pop cans, let me know. Chime in, please. Hopefully this video goes viral in the same sense as the first one, and maybe help find more information and histories and pictures past of these trucks. And anybody, Santa Cruz Island, if you are having to do with the island and you got pictures of this truck, please send them to me. Anything you know about this truck, anything about this truck, please let me know. I would absolutely just love to hear. And so, yeah, the hunt for the second truck turned, well, kind of bust, but we found its fate, and it was wrecked beyond repair. So they built two of them, and well, there's only one left, and I've got it. It's sitting outside, and it feels kind of funny because they're really strange trucks, and when they were new, and it's even stranger, you know, essentially now. And so definitely a bummer, but it's cool to at least have the picture and see the hunt is on. I mean, it's all about the hunt, right? Finding that truck or finding the thing. So the story continues. I got one more thing for us. Got something else for us here. So Drew, also in those pictures of these two trucks, sent me this. Check that out. So this was truck 3550. And we see it is a GMC. It's kind of hard to make out there. But a fender emblem there. And actually this hub, you can see in the picture, it's a Dana 60 hub. It's a Dana 60 rear truck. Factory K20, jacked up a little bit, which is just too cool because people weren't putting lift kits in these trucks in 72. That was just, you know, that kind of became more of a thing in the later 70s. And yeah, I mean, look at it. It's cool. It's just a little runaround, little mini-me version of these bigger trucks. And it's had its own little, you know, pump and everything on it. And this was the crew chief's truck. So this was his truck for hopping in and running around. It was his personal pickup. And so, yeah, truck 3550. I come to find out. So I'm on the hunt for truck 3550. I won't find 3521. It sounds like likely here, and certainly not in one piece if any of this still actually happens to exist. So I'm on the hunt for that. If anybody knows any information about this truck, Aptos Fire Department truck 3550, please reach out to me at Gold City Trucks on Instagram, or just comment the video and I'll get in touch with you with my phone number. So let's keep this going. It was fun. It was so cool finding out about these trucks, and I actually found out even more. I found out where my truck went and where in Washington it went. So we see here, this picture is kind of grainy, so I just printed a small one of it. Westport Fire Department, engine 8. It's kind of hard to make out there, but it says 8004. And we see now she's got her full box on this side, and new light bar up top, kind of some, you know, changes here and there. We got some more pinstripes, looks like maybe. And we got a chrome grille and chrome front bumper. So she had some changes done, and you could tell it had been in use by these guys for a while here. Certainly probably from the 80s on up. And actually had the for sale sign in the window. And so this was at the point where it essentially got decommissioned. After this, a fire department did not buy it. A private party bought it. And it made its way over to Eastern Washington, to the Republic, Washington area. If anybody knows anything about this truck, we're kind of changing gears here. All this California history to now Westport, Washington history. So anybody from the Westport area, please chime in, hop on here if anybody sees this, if you know anything about this truck. So luckily from the 80s up until 2001, this was one of Westport's trucks. A gentleman reached out to me after seeing this video, and he was just kind of passing by in the area and took a bunch of pictures of it for sale and thought it was really cool. And he saw my YouTube video and reached out and said, hey, dude, I got some pictures of your truck when it was for sale by Westport. And I was like, no way. And so that kind of clicked together and it kind of solved this chunk of the history of the truck too. So there's a lot of in between though. I know there's some cool pictures of this truck, some stories and history of it when it was at Westport too. So it'd be really cool if anybody who knows anything about that to chime in, or hopefully this video reaches them. So Westport Fire Department engine 8004. And if anybody knows anything about that, please chime in and get a hold of me. You can say comment on the video here. I'd love to hear it and love to see some pictures. It'd be awesome. I've reached out to Westport Fire Department without much luck. Simply don't have anything. But hey, what do you do? Maybe something will still surface up. So those were his last days kind of as a fire truck. I mean, after this, it went into private hands. Most of the apparatus was removed. I know the past two owners before me, but not like, I don't know who owned it from, 2001 till about 2005-ish. I do not know where it was at during that time period. A gentleman named Ken owned it from 2000 and probably 5 till about 2000 and let's say 2012 or so, around that area. And he spoke for he had some cool stories about the truck, and he used it just kind of as water storage on his property. Most of the fire apparatus again had been removed. The pump was gone, and just had the big water tank on it. And he kind of kept it as a safety net at his property up in the Republic area. And he eventually moved away, and it got bought and brought down to Orville by Mr. Hoover, who I kind of purchased the truck from. I purchased from his sister. And it just sat down here. The starter went out on it down here in Orville, or at least, well, Mr. Hoover thought it did. Had other wiring issues. They're making it seem like the starter was out. Anyway, long story short, now it's been in my hands since 2022. And so basically 50 years later, 50 years of history happened to this truck, 50 years of use and whatnot before I got my hands on it. And it's, well, not a fire truck anymore. This fire truck history and past is super cool, but all that stuff is, well, long gone. And it's not of my interest to basically go out there and fight fires with it. So it's, of course, my service truck. Here's a picture from it recently this year, and been plucking away, doing some stuff to it and whatnot. I got another video coming for you guys. We do some mechanical work to this thing, just some small stuff, but even small stuff on this thing is a big job. So look forward to sharing that video with you guys here soon. And I just acquired something really cool for it too that I'll share in that video. A few more photos to share with you guys of the truck and its sister truck. So here's sister truck 3521, getting serviced and worked on. Pretty darn cool. This just the stature, these things are just huge, you know, just big monsters. And it's funny too, because mine, now is huge, but these things had another 4 or 5 feet, of gear and stuff up on top of the bed, up above the cab. And I can't imagine being much taller than it is, but it was back in the day. Here we see 3521, doing its job, getting her done. We see it hooked up there, and the pump's rocking and rolling and shooting water like no other, Pretty darn cool. And Drew said these trucks are really efficient. They were just great for, it had everything on board you would possibly need. And they were really well packaged trucks and well thought out. And again, he said that was thanks to that new crew chief they had that had all that experience from, more down in Southern California that came up to that area. So yeah, guys, this is it's kind of show and tell picture history of, the Napco and his twin sister. It all was true. There was a second truck, but she's gone. But maybe I've thought so hard, and I've tried to reach out to a gentleman on the island, but I need front axle parts. I've got some stuff wrong with mine, and the front axle is ripped out from underneath this truck here, and I'm hoping by some chance that axle's still lying out there somewhere on Santa Cruz Island. If anybody, frequents that place, please chime in, because I really would love to find out if I can come and buy the axle and get it off the island and, bring it back home so I can do some work and some fix on mine, because it'd be the coolest thing to, have its sister truck's axle help, my truck live on. And, I was just kind of excited to show this video to you guys and meaning to get at it, and seeing that this picture kind of show and tell was going to be the best way to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video here. This is kind of not a video I get to make every single day, and just cool. And big thanks to Drew for, well, sharing all these pictures with me, but the biggest thing, hanging on to them that whole entire time. And, you know, just taking these pictures, taking the time to step back and take a picture of what's in front of you. Because sometimes, you know, a guy can easily forget to do that. And look at it now. It tells stories, and it tells, you know, it shows and gives you an idea of what it was like, you know, to be there and, you know, yesteryear, and just how cool these trucks were. Here's these two trucks, the Napcos, but just Napco now. But yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, more 67 to 72 content soon. And on the hunt for 3550, little mini me. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.